We are celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month here on CBS 2. And this morning, we're hearing from three authors of a new book titled Rise: A Pop History of Asian America from the 90s to Now. Our Jeff Nguyen sat down with them to talk about obstacles and opportunities.
Last year, Americans marched against the nearly 7,000 hate incidents against Asian American Pacific Islanders during the first year of the pandemic. Out of that came the New York Times best-selling book titled Rise: A Pop History of Asian America from the 90s to Now. Journalist and culture critic Jeff Yang is one of the three authors.
The message of the book is when you have to flip that table. Flip it.
There are lighthearted and serious examinations of 30-plus years of Americana. Peabody Award winner Phil Yu tackles news and culture in his blog, Angry Asian Man. The name is meant to shatter stereotypes about people who are always willing to go along with anything.
It's definitely an encouragement for people to stand up and say something.
Like the 1982 beating death of Vincent Chin that was racially motivated. The two men convicted in the case avoided jail time, and Chin's story wasn't taught in public schools in the 90s.
I too did not learn about Vincent Chin until I was in college. It was like being punched in the gut.
In 1992, images of Korean Americans with guns during the civil unrest in LA were splashed across the media. Lost in that coverage was how LA's Koreatown and South LA were left to burn.
Police fell back to essentially protect West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, largely white enclaves. There were no services, emergency, medical, or otherwise, going into Koreatown.
Jjajangmyeon is a Chinese dish. You told her it was from Korea. She don't know the difference. Get out of here.
The portrayal of the AAPI community is something Philip Wang knows all too well. He's the co-founder of a digital production company with millions of YouTube subscribers.
We could just go be the leads of our own stories.
One race, 2G buy-in, winner takes all.
He addressed the erasure of AAPI characters in the original Fast and Furious movie, which centered around the modified import car culture. The inspiration for the billion-dollar franchise came out of the Battle of the Import Races, which were created because tuned-up imports were not allowed to compete.
The cars that were allowed were domestic only. And it's funny, you can say that applies to the cars, but it kind of maybe was a little bit of shade towards the people, the domestics, and who are, foreigners and imports.
In 2002, before social media, Abercrombie and Fitch faced backlash for a series of t-shirts that many found offensive.
Particularly college students who Abercrombie and Fitch were marketing to. Asian American college students that rose up, they organized protests and say, take these off your shelves. And Abercrombie and Fitch listened.
From publishing to the early days of the internet to social media, the authors have found technology as workarounds against barriers that still remain.
We're finding our voice, and we're finding other people who are also in the fight together. No matter how far you get, in your career, professional career, it's super important to send the elevator back down.
We want to say that first and foremost, that if you're Asian American, you deserve to take up space. We want to say, don't always move out of the way for other people, right? And we want to say, make room for others as well.
Jeff Nguyen, CBS 2 News.
Yeah, I'm loving all these stories because it teaches us about, other cultures, and you learn more and more.
Yeah, the history of people being erased.
And the history of everything. So if you want to hear more from the authors, Jeff Yang and Phil Yu, they host the podcast They Call Us Bruce. And by the way, Jeff's son Hudson, he starred in the network sitcom Fresh Off the Boats.
Oh, such a good show. Yeah. And you can catch out Phil Wang's videos through Wong Fu Productions' YouTube channel. And we will have much more of these interviews with authors and also our entire special, Amplified, hosted by Amber Lee. It's debuting on CBS News Los Angeles next Wednesday.
Got your phone handy? Of course you do. Scan this right here. Download the CBS LA app. And just like that, you're connected to all the best local news and videos. Now, if only everything were this easy.